Hello, all. So, I finally finished this awesome book, The Science and the Myth of Melanin by T. Owens Moore, PhD. A lot of people have been asking me to share my truth that I got after I finished reading it. I was going to write it out, but it's so much information and I wrote so many notes that I just wanted to make a video. It's only about 130 pages, so it doesn't really take long to read, but it's so much information. I'm just going to read off my notes. The dark color or pigment of the human body that can be found internally and externally is called melanin. Melanin can be found externally in the hair, skin, and eyes. Additionally, it can be found internally in the central nervous system, heart, liver, and various of other organs. Starting at the beginning of life, melanin is located in the neural crest and eventually migrates to various regions of the body throughout fetal development. Research has revealed that fetal movement in the intrauterine environment is not solely reflexive, but is behaviorally organized, and the organizing molecule is melanin. This fact is also true with adults. Behaviorally organized and coordinated movements in adults depend on melanin and dopamine. In the substantia nigra, located in the midbrain, it is known facts that fetal development relies on the mother's genetic structure, nutritional intake, and mental physical status. However, the blackness of melanin plays a significant role. The differences of melanin among ethnicities enhance physiological and psychomotor development in infants. There's a part in the book where it actually goes in order of least to greatest in development. I didn't write that down. Um, African and European people are at opposite ends of the spectrum of humanity's diverse population. As a result, there are clear differences in childhood development. An example is the fact that African descent infants are born with advanced sensory motor skills in comparison to European infants. In fact, research has consistently shown that up to at least the first 2 years of life, black children are significantly more advanced. Now, I had a few questions about that, but the end of the chapter kind of explained it. It wasn't really questions, but it was like things I already thought. Um, Even though that melanin, gives us like a natural head start, there's still other factors in the way, which is education, the stimuli that the infant is introduced to throughout their development, which is very important. And because of the different socioeconomic things going on in the urban community and things like that, that's what's kind of hindering our black children from growing to their fullest potential. And my notes go on to say, how does melanin provide such a natural head start and eventually a physiological difference throughout development into adulthood? Well, communication in the nervous system is dependent upon electrical and chemical events. Signals are transmitted in the form of a nerve impulse, and the bioelectronic properties of melanin can facilitate the conduction of nerve impulses. There's a whole chapter that goes into detail about neurons and neurotransmitters and the the different parts of a neuron, the axon and the dendrites and all that. I already know about all that stuff, so I didn't really bother to write it. But there's pictures in here, drawings of it and everything, so don't feel lost. Um, signals are transmitted in the form of a nerve impulse, and the bioelectronic properties of melanin can facilitate the conduction of nerve impulses. This can occur in three ways. It can speed the pace of nerve impulses. Melanin. Melanin can concentrate ions for high voltage generating activity, and it can also provide an electrochemical surge. In other words, melanin heightens mental awareness, speeds reaction time, and greatly enhances the capacity of the brain to transmit neural impulses, ultimately increasing the survival of the organism. Um, Interestingly enough, in the book, it pretty much states that everything has melanin in it. Like when you open up an apple and you see that eventually the apple turns brown, that's melanin protecting the cells of the apple. Um, Apples don't really turn brown anymore, unfortunately. um, there's no specific research to show that there's a correlation of external external and internal melanin. So to say that, someone of European descent doesn't have melanin would be a false statement, only because we are all born in darkness, and darkness is melanin. And we all have dark parts of our brain, which is melanin. My notes go on to say, according to Richard King, there are 12 black pigmented brain sites that create the immensa nerve tract, a spiritual doorway to the unconscious mind. Meditating allows one to quietly dwell in the dark matter, melanin, eyes closed, see darkness, melanin, of the universe. Universe has melanin in it. Mind and all melanin and material planes that connect mind and body to the spiritual world. In addition to melanin being a semiconductor in the nervous system, it is also located in the auditory and visual systems. That's the ear and the eyes. There's chapters that go into detail about, and pictures that go into detail about the different parts of the eye and, the different structures and different parts of the ear and where the melanin is actually located. I didn't write that in my notes. I have the book. Inner ear melanin is in relation to the pigment amount in the iris. So the purpose of the melanin in the pigmented layer of the eyes is to absorb light, to prevent reflection, and to protect the photoreceptors from harmful effects. Melanin also enhances the conduction of nerve impulses, assisting the amplification process, helping to synchronize hearing and rhythmic movement in the body, influencing hearing and equilibrium. This explains the success in music and athletics in the African community. There's a whole section that goes into detail about that, about how, us being in sports, they gave basketball a perfect example, our vision, our hearing, our rhythm with the ball, our reflexes, our just the way we can move our body. It's all different. It's all like melanin being like a semiconductor to the different nerve impulses in our body and our brains and our vision and our ear. It's really interesting. Last but not least, of course, melanin is in the skin and plays an important role in one's development and survival. It provides protection against the effects of ultraviolet radiation, dangerous chemicals, and slows the aging process. It assists in the healing of wounds. When you get a cut or any type of open wound in your skin, I know that you notice blemishes or dark skin surrounding the wound as it heals. That's melanin. It affects against ultraviolet radiation, dangerous chemicals, and slows the aging process. We all know the slowing aging process I see on Facebook. It assists in the healing of wounds. It acts as a deposit site for unpaired electrons, removing reactive free chemicals. Drugs and a number of metals can be retained in melanated regions of the skin and slowly released in non-toxic concentrations. In summary, melanin behaves as a chemical lab, ensuring safe convergence of potentially volatile chemical reactions. Okay, elaborating on that, our skin is basically a filter for the air. When there's just electrons just floating around in the air and it has potential to be harmful to our skin, absorbs it and it slowly releases it in a non-toxic chemical state. It was a scientist in the book. It's in the beginning of the book. His name slips my mind, but he went on to say that cocaine was a man-made drug that was purposely put in the urban community because of the fact that our melanin has the ability to hold chemicals, harmful chemicals. One of my things that I always say is, if you cannot eat it, do not put it on your skin, do not put it in your hair, do not use it, because our skin has the ability to hold in all of those chemicals and it slowly releases it. So just because you don't see a pimple tomorrow or something the next day does not mean that eventually the effects of the things that you put on your body is not going to have an effect on your body as a whole. Our nervous system and melanated skin are specifically designed to harness energies circulating the universe. Our kinky hair coil behaving as antennas, and the brain is a transmitting and receiving device for this invisible energy. Because melanin is in our skin, it's in our brain, it's in the universe. We're basically all connected. We're all one. Like I said before, the dark part of our brain is supposed to be our connection with the universe and the spiritual realm. The special bioelectronic properties of melanin are critical for the energy that is constantly transmitted to and from outer space. It is this dark matter, melanin, that maximizes the connection of melanated human bodies to the spirit of the universe. Due to the fact that Western scientists dismiss the properties and universal connections of dark matter, it is safe to say the following. I'm going to go on and get into like the last chapter information. It's just different stuff that they say this information should lead to research in. Further research needs to be done on melanin, its correlation of internal and external melanin, and illnesses that attack melanin. There's a lot of mental diseases and physical, like skin diseases, that attack the melanin in the brain and on the skin. There's not much research on those diseases or illnesses. Western medicines have the potential to do more harm than good. Like I said before, our skin, melanin in general, just has the ability to hold bad chemicals and release them slowly. Them holding all those metals and the chemicals and electrons and the radicals and all that stuff, and it eventually builds up in our bodies and it has a negative effect. And a lot of Western medicines have those kind of chemicals that you really don't want mixing and building up in your body. Just because, you drink, water a lot and stuff like that doesn't mean you're necessarily flushing everything out. There should be diets specialized for protecting and enhancing one's melanin. Of course, Western diets are harmful. Again, the chemicals, everything is processed. There's chemicals in everything, and your body is just holding it. And in case you guys didn't know, your food, the food that you eat, affects your behavior because there's melanin in your brain. So what you put in your body and you're using as energy, you're also using that as brain food. So the melanin is holding those things in. Stop eating McDonald's. African children may need a different style of learning that caters to their levels of development. Like I said in the beginning, because of our how much melanin we have in comparison to European kids, our motor skills and our mental skills develop faster. And because of that, we're not putting our children in a school system that's catering to that. They're being labeled with different mental disorders and such, ADD, ADHD, and everything like that, instead of trying to be understood for how they develop. They're not being catered to. They're not being educated on a level that works for them. And so we need to change that. And a lot of socioeconomic factors prohibit African people, Black people, from growth. And it's just a lot of things. This book is awesome. And more investigation needs to be done on various psychological disorders involving hallucinations and hearing voices due to one's extrasensory perception. It's a whole section in the book where they talk about different mental disorders and how in Western society, if you look in the DSM books, they're all labeled as different, like mental disorders. So if you have hallucinations or you hear voices, but because people with melanin have extrasensory perception, we can hear better, we can see better. We may hear, we may hear things on a spiritual realm because of the sensitivity of our ears and our vibrations or whatever. We may see things that not everybody else can see. So more investigation needs to be done on that so that different things can be properly, I hate the word labeled, but yeah, labeled. Western scientists have a way of dismissing things that they can't understand, that they can't manipulate, that are not on a material or physical realm. And when we do that, we miss out on the astral realm and the spiritual realm and everything like that. And people that are more in tune with those realms are not getting the proper education or anything for growth. There's a whole section on chakras and how melanin is strategically put in every organ pertaining to each chakra. It's so interesting. Just get the book. It's again, hold on. The Science and the Myth of Melanin by T. Owens Moore. And thanks for watching.